Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast, the reigning, defending, undefeated podcast, the show where we're hitting you with the elbows of knowledge. And UFC 313 was out last night, and the Ground and Pound podcast has got you guys covered, going over everything that happened last night in case you missed it. Very, very eventful card yesterday. And as always, I'm here with my co host, Carlos. What's happening, Carlos?
Absolutely nothing, brother.
Absolutely nothing. Well, in case you guys missed it last night, very, very eventful card for, some good reasons and some bad reasons. We're going to go into a little bit of detail about what was good and what was bad. But before we do kind of get into the first fight and talk a little bit about how we saw that and how we saw it all playing out, what did you think of the card overall, Carlos? Did you grade it highly? Did you think it kind of disappointed? How did you see the card?
I mean, the card was entertaining. I wouldn't say it was like the best card of the year. It's too early to say that, but it was very entertaining. It was very good. A lot of the decisions, well, we're gonna get into that. A couple of decisions were terrible. For the most part, they were okay. The decisions, and I think I just expected a little bit more in the few people.
Mm,
And mainly we'll say Fiziev and Pereira. I expected a little bit more urgency out of the two of them, and
yeah.
I just didn't get it. But maybe it was there, maybe you saw it, but I just didn't. I didn't feel like they delivered the way they should have. I think Gaethje delivered very well, though.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, Gaethje, thank you for pointing that out, Carlos. Gaethje did deliver for me and for all the betters. I have to rub that one in a little bit. Dog of the week now, 4 in a row, picking all underdogs. Best bets video was out. If you guys missed it, you would have made a pretty penny. We went 4 or 5 over there on that video. So check that video out every Friday. That's coming out on the Ground and Pound podcast. And Carlos and I obviously do a breakdown every Wednesday, full card breakdown for every single card that's out. We did do ours as well. So I think both of us actually did pretty well on this card. I think we pretty much saw exactly how the fights were going to go. The way that some of the guys and some of the girls won, that was pretty much exactly what we kind of predicted. And for some of the ones that we weren't too sure of, the opponent that we picked against, that's pretty much the method in which that they won. So I think we pretty much saw the board pretty clean. And overall, I'd say for entertainment factor, I'd probably give this card like a B plus. I was fairly impressed with it from an entertainment standpoint. It had everything that you want: couple of bangers, couple of knockouts, couple of submissions. So yeah, let's get into the card and let's see what Carlos thinks of this first matchup. And in the first matchup, we had Santos taking on Diaz, and I described this one to you over text messages: the Rock'em Sock'em robots. Both guys just swinging at each other's head. Not a whole lot of body movement, a lot of jabs, a lot of right hands, but mostly going to the head. What did you think of this fight, and what did you think of the decision? Do you think that the right guy won?
I think the right guy won. We were talking about it earlier. You said Santos seemed to be a little bit busier, and watching it, that's what I thought as well. But the fact is like I think in round two and three, Ozzy was actually, in my opinion, he was landing a little bit more of the shots that were, um, I'd say, damaging. Whether they were damaging or not, I don't know. But I felt that Santos was very fatigued. I thought, like I was telling you earlier, I thought he looked very clumsy out there. And I don't think it was from anything Diaz did. I mean, he landed some clean shots right to the chin and
Mm,
didn't put him down. And you got a guy who's waiting to fall down. He's just sliding across the ring and slipping, and you can't put him down with a shot. And I'd be upset, a little embarrassed to put my hands up like I won, but I mean, it was entertaining. It was what you expect from low level guys, just stand there and take punches to the face, and not too much power, so they could stand there for the entire fight and do that. So, yeah, I mean, it was what it was supposed to be. I guess you can call it a banger.
mm.
It's just neither one of them had enough power, or to put the other one away.
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you, the title banger is more to do with the fact that it was an action-packed fight to start off the card. It wasn't necessarily the most technical fight. Both guys, as I said before, were just pretty much just headhunting. They didn't go to the body, and not a whole lot of kicks being thrown, not a whole lot of grappling being mixed in. And I think that would have served both guys to mix it up a little bit more. And Like Carlos said, I think Santos just kind of run out of gas. He looked good in the first round, won the first round on all three judges' scorecards, and Diaz pulled away and managed to win round 2 and round 3. And I had a little bit of concern with the judge's decision. I thought Santos did enough in round 2. I actually thought he won rounds 1 and round 2. Ultimately, it didn't go that way, and I didn't hate the decision. We're going to talk about a fight later on or coming up soon that I definitely have a big problem with, and I'm sure Carlos does too. But ultimately, I think this one delivered as far as what you can expect from two low-level guys. So definitely a good one to kick off the card. I think both guys should probably be cut. They shouldn't even be in the UFC. But definitely something to keep an eye on for later on. I think both of these guys will maybe go on a losing streak and get cut. But rock 'em, sock 'em robots to kick off the card for sure. And next up, we had Santos taking on Marshall, and I mean this decision was just. We both did. We both picked Santos in this matchup. So in terms of picks, I mean, we got away with one. But there is no fucking way that Marshall, to me, did not win this fight. I went online and I checked out the MMA decisions. And yes, there is an incoming rant here that, we're not talking about Chris Tione, even though his bald head is on the screen. There's no way. Marshall won all 3 rounds. It should have been 30-27, which is exactly what one of the judges scored it. And I don't know how you don't come to any other decision than that. I want to know. I want the judges drug tested. I want to know if they were sleeping on the job. There needs to be some sort of inquiry about this fight. It was that bad. I went on MMA decisions. Every single person on there had the fight for Marshall 30-27. It was probably one of the most clearest scorecards that you can have. And I'm pretty confident in saying that Carlos feels the same way. It would be fitting that Tione's refereeing this particular shit show of a decision, but nothing in there that I could actually pull him up for this time, which makes a change. But yeah, Carlos, what did you think of this mess of a shit show of a judge's decision?
I pretty much thought the same thing too. I thought, in my opinion, I was thinking 30-27 Marshall. Interestingly, at the end of the fight, they asked Santos, do you think you did enough to win? And he actually said, yes, I did. He tried to take me down. And when he got me down, he wasn't able to do anything with it. And, I'm sitting there thinking, I understand that. He also had different takedowns throughout the fight, didn't do anything with it. Santos was able to get back up. But the problem is they were standing. They were on their feet. And even on their feet, Marshall got the better of him. So yeah. Santos was striking, and it looked like it had little to no effect whenever he landed on Marshall. And he's trying to say that, but he didn't do anything with it. He goes, oh, his nose was bleeding. And I was like, okay, his nose was bleeding. He dropped him in the first. I think he visibly hurt him in the second. Also, solidified some takedowns and took him down, or had him clinched up in the third. Landing some good hooks too. I was surprised with how sharp Marshall looked in the boxing. And just mixing up those takedowns, I thought was beautiful. It gave him something else to think about. He was actually kicking the lead leg, So I thought he did a great job. Yeah. Like I said, I should go with my gut a little bit more because for some reason I was thinking Marshall's got this, and I went, no, Santos does look pretty solid. But you never know until they get into the ring. So maybe Santos doesn't hit as hard as you think. Maybe Marshall's a little bit more of a dog than his record would let on since he's in the UFC, because he's had some inconsistency. And the judging, I wish there was some bit of a consequence for it. I mean, the fighters get caught taking whatever, even smoking weed back in the day, and they got suspended. There should be something happening for the judges when you make a call like this. It's absolutely disgusting. We got to get Elon in there to clean out all these judges.
Make MMA judging great again.
Get the Jewish team in there.
Yep. Yeah, I got to admit, and that's kind of leads me to my first point, and my whole issue with this is exactly what Carlos is saying, is that there needs to be some sort of accountability here, because Marshall's moved over to American Top Team, so I'm pretty confident in saying he doesn't live in Florida, so he's moved over near Florida to train at American Top Team. The guy is training his ass off as a young man that's trying to obviously make money to whether that's to feed his family or to become successful, and people are just not taking this seriously enough to the point where it's affecting other people's lives. And Dominic Cruz has said this many times, and I agree with him, is that there needs to be some sort of accountability for the refs, the judging, and all that type of stuff, because these guys are literally putting their career, their lives on the line, their health on the line, their family, everything is on the line for these guys. And when boneheaded decisions don't go your way, he did everything he was supposed to do. He made weight, he showed up, he won all 3 rounds of the fight, he mixed it in. I'm sure the guy, trained very, very hard. And that's not to take anything away from Santos, but the better man didn't win on the night. And in any sport, the credibility of the sport's on the line. You got to look into it a little bit more. So I think that these judges need to be held accountable a little bit more. And I'm always going after Chris Taione for his lack of efficiency when it comes to his refereeing. The judges were taking center stage in this one, and it really, really sort of pissed me off, to be honest. And for all the people sitting at home, sitting here going, "Well, yeah, but both of you guys, you probably bet on Marshall. That's why you did." I didn't bet on Marshall. We both picked Santos. So I always call a spade at the end of the day. Is if I bet on somebody or I pick somebody and they don't win, they don't win. But the fact of the matter is Marshall dominated him, and Carlos, got to take my hat off to him. He did say on the breakdown on Wednesday, check it out if you didn't, did actually come out and say, I think Marshall could do, I could think he could have this one. He could mix in takedowns. He can make it grimy. He can, have success mixing in the wrestling, and that he called it perfectly. And I agree with him. I do think he needed to go with his gut, but Marshall did everything that he needed to do, and chin up to that guy. And maybe Santos isn't as good as we thought, but horrible decision. And next up, we had Carlos Leal taking on Morono, and I said to Carlos before we got on here live that I was a little bit, not disgusted, but I felt like the stoppage could have come a little bit sooner. Alex is obviously tough, and I always say to Carlos, and I said onto the breakdown as well that we did on Wednesday, that when Alex Morono starts spinning like a helicopter, it just means that things aren't going his way. And Leal just made it look like, he was on a different level to Morono. He looked like he didn't respect the power that Alex had coming back, and he felt comfortable just walking him down and kind of throwing big hooks. And ultimately, Leal got the job done. He was part of our confident parlay for the best bets. And as I say, I would have liked the stoppage to come a little bit sooner. Didn't hate the stoppage, but it could have come a little bit sooner. Alex was kind of out on his feet. But overall, what did you think of this fight, Carlos?
Well, I enjoyed Carlos Leal's performance. I thought he got robbed in his UFC debut.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job against Renat. It's okay. He didn't get the decision. He came out. He got the more dominant decision now, left the judges out of it, which at this point of the night, you don't want to keep them in because they were pretty bad already.
Yeah.
I knew that they let it go a little longer because Alex was out on his feet a while before they stopped the fight. And I was still waiting for the spinning attacks over and over again, but they didn't come. I had people waiting for it too, and they were a little upset. They're like, brother, I'm waiting for that. The spinning attacks, it just makes me funny after you pointed it out. But, I thought Leal was like we both did, thought he was the biggest striker of the two. The guy's kind of a tank, he's solid, he's strong, he walks forward. Morono hit him a few times pretty good, but didn't really do anything to him. And to be honest with you, was it a late stoppage? No, they gave Morono the chance to come back because he's a pretty resilient guy. Maybe at this stage in his career, he's not as resilient as he used to be. And maybe he just doesn't have the hunger that he used to have. Who knows? Because he never let anybody back him up like this. Or maybe Leal's just legit. So, I thought everything. I thought the stoppage was fine.
Yeah, and me and you both said, didn't we, on our breakdown on the Wednesday, that we both felt very confident in Leal that he was going to be able to get it done, and I think he proved us both right. And you have to think that maybe after seeing that decision in the fight before, after him getting screwed in his last fight against Renat, maybe he's seeing that backstage with the Marshall decision, and he's thinking, I got to go out here and I just got to get this guy out of here. I can't let it go to the judges. I can't get screwed twice. He's probably having a little bit of deja vu, and he looked like he came to fight for it with a purpose, with a sense of urgency, and hats off to him. I mean, he did everything that he was supposed to do, and Alex Morono's getting to that point now where I'm starting to see a big decline in him. And like I said, I didn't hate the stoppage, but I would have liked to have seen it stopped a little bit sooner, just purely because you could see the trend of where it was heading. And the more brain cells that we can save from the human helicopter, the better. And next up, we had Brunno Ferreira managing to get the armbar submission over Petrosyan. Pretty good fight. Really liked the performance by Brunno. Obviously, one of the underdogs that we bet on in the Best Bets video. Like I said, was able to get it done as an underdog. And my question to you, Carlos, was, well, one, what did you think of the fight? What did you think of the performance? And we wanted to talk a little bit about the point deduction. What did you think of the situation in that first round with the point being taken?
This is another one where I should have went with my gut again. I think you stuck with it. I had Brunno Ferreira like
yes, you did
pretty much all week leading up to it, and then right the day of, I said I'm going to stay safe. I'm going to go with Arman Petrosyan. But even in my parlay, I put Brunno Ferreira. It doesn't even really matter because in my parlay I had Santos and Diaz already wiped them out, so I was out then. But yeah, I thought he did a great job. Whereas I don't think he was not having success standing up. Ferreira, I don't think he wasn't having success standing up, but I do think that Petrosyan was making it a little bit more difficult for him because that reach advantage. That's what was throwing me off. I was like, is he going to be able to, keep Ferreira at bay? But Ferreira actually just decided, fuck this. I'm just going to try to bull rush him up to the fence and take him down. And finally, he was able to get him, control him, and submit him. And that armbar was in pretty damn tight. I thought he was going to break it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it didn't happen for Petrosyan. But it was a good changeup in strategy mid fight. Now, the point, it was valid to take the point on the second kick because it was right on the cup. Ferreira took it well. He didn't take the whole 5 minutes. He actually didn't look super affected by it at all when it happened. He just stepped back, and you could hear it right off the cup. The first one that happened probably maybe like a minute, 30 seconds before, that was just like he caught him in like the upper part of the leg. So it wasn't that bad. So, but to take a point on that one, normally I'm pretty relaxed with groin shots unless it actually like compromises the fighter's ability to move and fight, like, for the rest of the match. You could tell when those cup shots happen, and that wasn't one of them. But you never know. You never know how it's going to affect him. So I'm pretty happy that he did take the point. It makes Arman have to stay honest, have to check where his kicks are going. What I didn't like was Arman was actually trying to get it back when he got, I think it was a left hook to the hip. And technically it was low, but they don't do the belt line, so, but in a boxing standpoint, technically it was a low punch, it was a low strike, but it was on the hip, and he called for the ref to come over, and I'm getting sick of some of the fighters doing that for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
And then they bring the ref, they do the review. He's like, "You're fine. You didn't get hit in the junk. You're all good." And they get right back to it. Now, you shouldn't deduct a point from fighters that are calling for the ref, but I think some type of warning's got to be put in place, because later on in the recap, there's another scenario where that happened, and I'm just thinking, I understand eye pokes, fence grab, groin shots. You got to have points taken away when it compromises the fighter or changes the outcome of the fight. But something's got to be done when you can just signal the ref and be like, "Hey, groin shot, you didn't see it, but I got hit."
Time out. Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, just first of all, you made a lot of good points there, and I want to go back and just address a few. So you said at the start there about, your parlay not hitting, and I don't know if you know, but there's a British guy on this channel that does a best bets video on Friday that can help you out. We actually went 4-5 this week on the best bets. So if you, along with Carlos, are having trouble with some of your betting advice and you wanted to some solid bets this week, do check that video out. Check out the video that'll be coming out on Friday. But yeah, like I said, with the point situation, I felt like I'm a big advocate for enforcing the rules a little bit stricter, because then I think it keeps the athletes more honest. And I think part of the issue in MMA is that sometimes the referees don't want to get too involved and influence the fight. And I actually feel that they should take points away for fence grabs, eye pokes, things like that a little bit sooner rather than later, because so many times we see guys, kick to the groin and then it happens again. And it's like, how much is this a detriment to the fighter that's being kicked? How many times is a guy going to get poked in the eye? How much damage does that really do to that fighter in that round? And then there's no real repercussions. Whereas if you're a little bit stricter with the fighters and you take points away, then they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's. They're not just going to be able to get away with illegal shots and illegal activity within the fight. So I'm a big advocate for taking points sooner. So I actually liked Mark Smith taking a point the way that he did. And also it helped out the fact that we bet on Brunno Ferreira. Okay. And I'm all for that. Points taken, and as far as what you were talking about there. And as far as the armbar, I mean, I did talk about it a little bit in the best bets video. I was happy that Brunno was able to mix in the takedowns. I felt like that was going to be a huge factor. And even though it was a pretty sloppy takedown, that transition to the armbar, I was the same as you. I thought he was going to snap that arm. Petrosyan tapped pretty quick, but yeah, I mean, the point deduction, I think it was valid, and Brunno did what he needed to do. And Carlos in the breakdown said something on Wednesday, which I thought was very true. And I think that Brunno was struggling with the range at the start of the fight. The height and the range of Petrosyan was definitely giving Brunno problems. And I think once Brunno realized, hey, I need to mix this up and I'm just going to bum rush the guy and kind of use a little bit of my brute strength, I think he realized how much success he could really have, especially on the ground. So hats off to Brunno, getting it done, making us some money this week. And I'm all for the points being taken. So good job, Hulk. And the next fight that we got to talk about is the Joshua Van. I don't even know what to say about this kid. I can't even pronounce his name, let alone. But I don't know what his problem was. I mean, he didn't even, to me, like, he didn't even show up like he wanted to fight. It was a Rasuya. I can't pronounce his name, but Tsuruya, yeah, he just didn't show up to fight. Like, the guy literally just wanted to dive at Van's legs the whole time. He didn't even look like he could mix in any punches. He couldn't throw in any strikes. He looked completely lost on the feet. And every opportunity he got to dive at Van's legs, which Van did a good job of being able to show great takedown defense, which is exactly how we both called it on the recap. On the breakdown. Van was able to keep it on the feet and just outclass him. And I got to point out, what is this zesty stance that he's going with at the start of the fight that you can see in the bottom left?
You picked the worst one. You picked the worst photo.
Hey, he knew the camera was on him, and he still decided to pose like that, all right? He's got one leg up. He's looking off to the side, pouting with the lips. I mean, if that stance doesn't sum up his fighting style, I don't know what does, but... yeah, I mean, hats off to Van. I've been a hater on Van, but he showed good takedown defense. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and at the end of the day, he showed up to fight. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you're there to fight. You're not there to call the shots. You're not there to dive at people's legs. If you want to wrestle, go wrestle. If you want to go do jiu-jitsu, do jiu-jitsu. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. We're here to fight, and Van got it done, outclassed him on the feet. What did you think of this one, Carlos?
Well, I was happy because Van pulled it off, and he made it look the way that I thought it was going to go. The only difference was I don't know if you even noticed the size advantage between the two of these guys when they were in there.
Yeah.
Zesty young man, what's his name? Tsuruya. Yeah, he is a lot bigger than Van was, so that was kind of impressive. That he was able to stop those takedowns and get back up. The other thing was Van was, I thought, going to get a chance to beat him up on the feet a little bit more, but Tsuruya kept his distance between them, which was smart on his part because he didn't want to get into an exchange with him, so that's good. What I didn't like about what happened in the fight, going back to the judges and the fighters calling their own low blows, he took a solid body shot, like right to the abdomen, right in the middle, and went down. And he went down. And because prior to that, I think it was the round before, or maybe earlier in that round, Van's toe touched his shorts. So he just said, I got low blowed. And the referee stopped it. They did a review. And then they saw it wasn't a big deal. Went back to fighting. That changed the outcome of that because when he had him hurt to the body, Van could have pressed him. I'm not saying he would have finished it, but he could have pressed him, could have went to the body a little bit more, got him out of there. But he didn't have the chance to because as soon as it touched the shorts on the way up to hitting him right in the abs, it just, he went down, grabbed his junk, tells the ref comes over. Then they review it. Ref's like, "You're good." He gets up like it's not a big deal. I think that is a huge opportunity for someone to fake it. I've seen fighters fake it. I know you have too
Yeah.
in the UFC because sometimes the camera angle that they get to review it isn't the best. What I really think they need to do is like, yeah, I don't know. I wish I had an answer for it. I'm gonna have to think of something,
Mm.
let you know what the best idea is. But people do get hurt and the ref doesn't see it. And it's a beautiful thing that the UFC allows them to say, hey, you need to review this. But on the other hand, something's got to be done to the fact that you get hurt clean and it's clear, but the ref doesn't see it really happen. And you can kind of just fake it. And I'm like, we got to do something about that. Other than that, I was very entertained by the fight because he did have some strange takedowns. He did have some good throws, and Van was able to actually execute the way that I thought he was going to. So I had no problem with this.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and this is why I titled it "Are you ready? Are you here to fight?" Is purely because I think some of the fighters now need to, or they need to be told, "You are here to fight. Let the referee do their job. Like it's not your job to call fouls. It's your job to fight." And I think part of the problem now is, and this is exactly what I think me and Carlos are really trying to get at, is that too many guys are calling their own fouls as opposed to, it's like become a pickup game of basketball, but you're playing in a rec league with referees. Guys don't call their own fouls. You let the referee do their job. You're there to fight. They're there to ref, and that's it. So I do think that I'm with Carlos. I do think they need to tackle this problem a little bit, but it's difficult because what can you do? I mean, sometimes, like Carlos said, they do miss things, and it happens, especially in the heat of the moment. But in certain circumstances, you're also taking away from the opportunity for the fighter to actually get a finish. So, yeah, hats off to Van, though. He did everything that he was supposed to do. And both guys are also young and up and coming. So they've got plenty of time to, 23 and 22, I believe, respectively. So they've definitely got a bright future ahead of them. So not to take away from anything from Tsuruya, but other than his zesty stance. And that brings us to the main card. And before we do kick off the main card, I just want to say, hit that like and subscribe button for everything that we do here on the channel. It does help everything go along smooth and helps the channel grow. And kicking off the main card, we had Ruffy and AKA Conor McGregor 2.0. I know Carlos hates it when I refer to him as Conor McGregor, so I have to keep doing it. But damn, you just got knocked the fuck out. King Green, Bobby Green, he just got smoked. That he didn't look like it. He did well. Let me start off from the beginning. Ruffy, I think he knew that he was going to be able to just find that one shot. Bobby was backing up against the fence, and he was throwing the odd shot here and there, but ultimately it kind of just looked like any moment the KO was coming. I just didn't expect it to come how it did. Spinning wheel kick, spinning hook kick. I mean, Carlos would probably have to give me the exact definition of what the type of kick was, but beautiful technique. And it lands there. He stands there like a cartoon character afterwards, like just standing over him while Tyone's pushing him away. Really, really, really impressed. Really, really nice performance. And he did get a bonus for that one, as he should. If you didn't see it, check it out. Go see the highlights. Definitely one that everybody is going to be talking about. And the Fighting Nerds do it again. Honestly, they're on an absolute tear. And Ruffy just showed that he's somebody to watch out for, especially in this division. So highlight reel KO and probably the best knockout of the night or the best performance of the night. What did you think overall, Carlos?
I think it was pretty clear that we both thought King Green was going to get finished at some point in this fight. I didn't expect it to be with that wheel kick, though. I thought he was going to get finished coming in with the hands. And, not that he would be playing it safe, but that's the way he usually operates. He comes in and out. He's throwing, some punches here and there, like lead right hand, lead left hooks. He's good. I like Ruffy. I think he's solid. The Fighting Nerds, they're awesome. I like they got a lot of killers in there. Obviously, Ruffy's good. Conor McGregor 2.0. I think he's good. I'm going to leave it at that. Not that Conor was bad at that time, but I do think Prates, Pohalio, Silva, they got a lot of killers in there. So
Yeah.
they're doing something right over there. That's all I know.
Yeah.
What they're teaching, I don't know, but they're doing something right. Bobby Green, it was very hard for me to believe he was going to make it through this fight just because he keeps his hands around waist level. He likes to react off movement. 38 years old. First thing to go is your speed. His reaction time's a little off. I mean, you got to expect a knockout. Jalen Turner knocked him out earlier. You know, there's nothing. He's not going to get any better. So it's either Bobby's got to learn to keep his hands up, move his head, move his feet, or you're going to see knockouts like this against the up and comers that are absolute animals, or the elite that are just getting back on track, and he happens to be an opponent.
Mm.
But I feel bad because I like Bobby Green. You know what I mean? He's very entertaining. He's funny with the interviews, but he should not be fighting like high level killers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they gave him Paddy the Baddy, so extremely high-level elite future champion. They give him Conor McGregor 2.0. So obviously, he's going to go on a little bit of a decline there, Carlos. I had to throw that in there with Paddy, but yeah.
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. Watching Ruffy this time, Conor McGregor 2.0. I get what they're saying because a lot of the movements are exactly like him. I've seen a lot of fights of him, and his in and out movement, it mirrors him, yeah. But a lot of his kicks mirror exactly what Connor's like. So yeah, he is kind of like a Connor. I just don't want to put him in that category yet. I need him to earn it, you know.
I respect it. I respect it. That's what the
Yeah.
2.0 is for. But big things from Rufi, I think, coming up, and call out of Benil Dariush. I'm not going to talk too much about that matchup because nothing's confirmed yet. But overall, good performance. Did everything he was supposed to do and got the bonus. 50 G's, baby.
You didn't like that call out with Dariush?
I don't hate it. I don't hate the call out, but until it's an official matchup, I don't see the point. But I think he'll
You
smoke
think
him.
it's a good call out?
I
You
think
think
it's a
that's
decent
a
call out.
call out that? Okay, that's. I thought it was a good one too. I thought that was a good step up for him.
Yeah, and another woman stepping up for a higher level opponent in Amanda Lemos. And unfortunately, this was probably a bathroom break because this fight was a snoozer. As you can see from some of the images on there about my personal beliefs about what this fight was. And I'm not going to spend a long time breaking this one down. To be perfectly honest with you, I think Lucindo just didn't show up. I said to Carlos before we got live that I personally felt like Lucindo in the first 2 rounds was still somewhere in the back, like half asleep because she just did not seem to show up. And she came out in the 3rd round and got a takedown immediately and has showed a sense of urgency. And I was just like, well, where was this from the start? So I think she was a little bit scared of Amanda's power, and I think she was a little bit intimidated on the feet. And ultimately, I think Amanda's size and strength and veteran experience outclassed Lucindo. And yeah, this was a tough one. I think we both weren't very confident in this one. We both made a pretty good case that Lemos could pull off the upset, which she did. But yeah, what were your thoughts on this one, Carlos?
Well, I am happy that she won because I think Pooks had Lemos, Ferreira, and Gaethje for the win. So I was very happy about that. And I can get behind those picks. She did put Kuniev in that,
Yeah.
and that fight got canceled. And I was like, I don't think that's a good call. But luckily, they didn't have to fight. These three won, and they got it done. But like you said, it was a bathroom break. I actually fell asleep like during this fight too. I had to watch it again this morning, or try to. And the problem is just like you said, she just didn't come ready to go, and that's what happened. She just kind of got manhandled throughout the fight, and it was fairly easy for Lemos. And Lemos is a bull. She was pretty strong. I took age into account when I was thinking about who's going to win this fight, but and I was also giving Lucindo credit for being pretty resilient. But like I said, she got manhandled in this fight. Lemos is, she's a tough out, and yeah, hats off to her. And I don't like to say that because I know you think I'm agreeing with you with the bathroom break and the women's fights and all that stuff, but I just thought this one was a stinker, in my opinion.
I get a lot of hate, guys, for my I don't want to say disrespectful, but for my lack of patience and my lack of enthusiasm for some of the women's fights. But I just want to point out that Zhang Weili a couple of weeks ago was my dog of the week, and I like Zhang Weili. I've always liked Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko. So it's just the fact that I think I hold him to a high standard, and I just think that this one just didn't deliver, unfortunately. So. One fight that did deliver was the next fight right after was Bahamondes' performance over Jalin Turner. And hats off to Bahamondes. He was one of the bets that we had in the best bets video. If I didn't mention already, we went 4-5, just to make sure that you guys heard me say it for the 10th time. Yeah, Bahamondes did everything that he was supposed to do. And I thought this was going to be a back and forth striking affair. I thought that, Turner was probably going to get chinned on the feet maybe in the second or third round, but Bahamondes showed that he's more than just a striker. I can't remember how exactly the fight got to the ground. I think maybe Turner was the one that shot the takedown. And Bahamondes was able to use his long limbs, stay safe, and throw up a triangle. And Turner decided at the end that he'd had enough. That was it. 3 losses in a row in the UFC, and he decided to retire, which I was surprised. I don't know if that was more of a you can't fire me, UFC, I already quit. I don't know if it was one of those. But hats off to Bahamondes. I was very impressed with it because it's not a skill set that we've seen too much from him being off of his back. We've seen some nice front chokes out of him so far in the UFC, but his stock is rising, and he made us some money on Saturday. So I love the accent as well. I think his Chilean accent, or the way I think they speak Spanish, but it's overall good performance, great striking, great grappling that he's obviously got, and I think he's a problem in the division, especially at 6'3". So hats off to him. What did you think about the matchup and how the fight went, Carlos?
I was expecting a little bit more out of this. Actually, I didn't think I thought this was going to be a war. If you want to say a banger, that's what I thought this was going to be. I also thought that Bahamondes was going to get the better of the exchanges, and I thought he would come out on top. I would have never thought he was going to finish with a triangle choke. Jalin Turner, I am not sure if this was one of his last fights on his contract or close to the last one. I'm assuming by what you said, he may have been close to the end of his contract. If that's the case, that's fine that he wants to retire before getting fired. But I don't know. Like his last couple performances, he's not meant to be in there with a Dan Hooker. He's not gritty enough. If you're not a fighter and you're not willing to go for the finish and you want the walk-off poster KO, whatever it is, and you're fighting Moicano and you just can't rev back up to finish him off after you dropped him, like maybe you don't need to be here, and that's fine. I'm not saying that in a negative way. Only he knows his mental status, and good luck to you and whatever you do. I feel like you'll either see him here again or see him like in another organization. I don't think he's going to retire from it.
Yeah.
But Bahamondes, great performance, and training with Bilal Muhammad, having some ground game. That doesn't surprise me one bit. I just haven't seen it, so it was good to watch him get a finish like that, and it was kind of sneaky. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
good job.
Yeah, and he was another. What's the word I'm looking for? Reciprocant of Dana White 50G's bonus for performance of the night. So
Yep.
Also his stock rises. He breaks into the top 15, so he's got a number next to his name. And also class act as well. I just wanted to point out at the end of the fight when Turner was talking about retiring and that, he goes up to him and he's saying to him, like, stick it out, you're very good, whatever, paying him a lot of compliments as well after he's just beaten him. So class act all around from Bahamondes, and overall I was very impressed with his performance. So definitely somebody to watch out for now that he's entered into the top 15. And that brings us to the co-main event, and I titled this one, He's Back. Dog of the week, 4 in a row now, picking all underdogs, and Justin Gaethje gets it done. And I heard all this talk about, his chin, and, his chin is shot now after the Max Holloway knockout. And he proved that he can take a punch and that he's back. And I do think that he probably could have got the finish in the second round, and that's something I'm going to ask Carlos to talk about and give his opinion on. But overall, I was very impressed with Gaethje. He did exactly what I thought he was going to do from what I was talking about in my best bets video. On the pressure, using the boxing, keep it in boxing range as opposed to the kicks, and using the cardio, mixing in the wrestling, for the fact that Fiziev's taking this fight on short notice. And I was happy for him to, come back after that knockout loss and put some respect on his name. And I think we both picked Gaethje in this one, so nice to both get this one correct. And Fiziev, as usual, I mean, he puts up a good performance. No, hats off to him. No disrespect or no discredit to his abilities. The guy's tough. He hits hard. He's even came out and shot a takedown in the first round, which really caught me off guard. I did not expect that. But yeah, hats off to Gaethje for 4 in a row and for making us some money this week. And what did you think of this one, Carlos?
Obviously, I thought it was a great fight. Excuse me. When I say that about uh, Fiziev, not having a great showing, he showed that he was tough. He showed that he was strong, powerful. He showed that he can get a takedown. He showed that he's resilient, being able to get back up. But the problem is like he kind of just fought the same way he always does, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of speed, a lot of power, not a lot of setting up anything. So I kind of expected the fight to go exactly the same way. Gaethje, it was hit or miss. We didn't know if the hype was there about the chin being gone, and he's not going to be the same. I kind of had a feeling he was going to come back fine due to the fact that he doesn't cut a ton of weight for the weight class. That means, he doesn't have to drain himself of all the liquids that are in his joints, surrounding his brain. So it's like he should be healthier going into the fight. And yeah, I thought that he was very technical. I thought he was very tactful in how he came forward. He had decent head movement. It showed that he had a chin, but he also didn't just eat shots all night, which was pretty good. What I was getting really annoyed with was the fact that he keeps dipping his head to the right
Yeah.
every time he was, Fiziev was throwing punches, and I was like, hopefully he doesn't see that and start throwing left kicks, and he started doing that, and I was like, as long as he can change, go left, right, and he'll be fine. He's not going to get caught with that kick. And he kept dipping his head back. He just put his hands up. So at least he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Um, I was very happy with the performance. I thought it was great. And hats off to Gaethje. Dog of the week again for my boy here. And once I start picking dogs of the week, he's going to be done. I'm going to be the top dog.
We gotta definitely we gotta get you on the dog train. But if you enjoyed that performance, I know that Gaethje's going to enjoy the performance or the fight of the night bonus that he received. Both guys got the fight of the night here, and I think the Santos and the Diaz fight was Dana White said something about that Justin Gaethje and Rafael were able to take that fight away from them, and they ended up getting fight of the night. So hats off to both guys. At the end of the day, they're going home with a nice paycheck, and I do think that Gaethje is somebody that in the future that we got to kind of watch out for, because I wouldn't say it was necessarily his best performance. I do think that if he fights somebody on a full camp that's high up in the division, I definitely think that he's somebody that he needs to kind of watch out for. He looks like he's starting to slow down, is what I'm trying to say. He didn't look as impressive as I thought he was going to, but ultimately he got it done, and respect to both guys. You heard Justin say at the end, how much of a tough son of a bitch he is, and we need to come together and train. So offering the hand of encouragement to Fiziev, and again, he just likes to fight. I think both guys just like a good scrap, and that's exactly what they delivered. So hats off to both guys. And that brings us to our very depressing result in the main event. I mean, if you're, Team Alex, which I think most MMA fans are, you had your heart broken, and the depression started last night. It was very, very difficult to pill to swallow. And I think that ultimately, the decision, I want to say, was fair, because I felt like Alex allowed it to happen. I think that he didn't necessarily put the pedal to the metal. And as I said, hats off to Ankalaev at the end of the day, and knew he did what he was supposed to do. And he's somebody that's been, striving for a title shot for a long time. And he finally gets his shot, and the dice rolled his way that night. And I mean, what's next for Alex? I mean, no more Sharma in the light heavyweight division. Maybe he goes up to heavyweight. But I'm going to ask Carlos, what do you see for Alex's future, and what did you think of the fight?
I think Alex, he could bounce up to heavyweight if he'd like to. I don't know how smart that would be, against big grapplers. Now he has the chance to. Ankalaev was supposed to be a high level wrestler, and he had a hard time taking him down. So it just ended up looking like a clinch up against the cage. So he didn't do much damage to him there.
Mm.
You get a heavyweight putting all that on you. I mean, Alex at heavyweight probably be about 240, 245. You know what I mean? Because I think he's usually around 230,
Yeah.
235 as he's cutting down. So he's not a small guy. So he could fight at heavyweight and be effective. Then you got to think, does his power carry up to heavyweight? If he hits one shot clean, is the guy out? Because he hit Ankalaev a few times with that left hook. I don't know if he got to dig his hip into it or what, but Ankalaev took it pretty well. You didn't even know he got hit with it.
Yeah.
And he hit him with a couple straight rights. Ankalaev took that very well. His wasn't rocked, came forward and was pressing on. He's a tough guy. I love the fact that he won because he did get screwed some years ago in the Blachowicz fight, the
Yep.
decision. He definitely should have got that. I do love Alex Pereira. I'd love to see him back in the division, like on top. But yeah, if heavyweight's a move he might want to make, I'm sure now, unfortunately, he doesn't have the belt that Dana would say, yeah, you can move up to heavyweight, no problem. But that takes away from a super fight with John Jones. He's going to have to do a couple of fights before he gets that. And maybe he'll knock out Aspinall before he fights John Jones. Who knows? Who knows what he does?
I felt a little bit of a dig there. I felt like that was like a comment to get back at the Paddy comment there. So I see what you're doing there, Carlos. But no, I agree with you. I mean, hats off to Ankalaev. At the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do, and he did get screwed in the Blachowicz decision a couple of years back. A fight that he definitely won. And I think the reason that this one was a tough pill to swallow was because it's not like Ankalaev came out, took him down, dominated him on the ground, or knocked him out, or whatever. I had the fight 2-2 going into the fifth round. I think I saw some scorecards had it 3-1 Ankalaev going into the fifth. I saw a good amount of people that had it 2-2 like I did. And I just felt like the reason that this one was a tough pill to swallow is I felt like Alex just didn't quite do enough and he left it in the hands of the judges. To me, in the fifth round, if he was able to kind of go for it a little bit more, he was able to move his feet and not get pushed up against the fence, and he was able to get to some space. He landed the much better shots in round 5, and I do think that he won rounds 1, 3, and 5. Unfortunately, the people that mattered, the people with the scorecards, they didn't see it that way. I know that one judge gave it 49-46, and they gave Ankalaev rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, which I disagree with, but ultimately, who gives a fuck what I think at the end of the day? It's the guys with the scorecards and the judges that matter. And I didn't really hate the decision just because I feel like in certain circumstances when your belt's on the line or that the judges especially you've seen in other fights have been poor that night, you can't leave it in the hands of the judges for the rest of your career. And I want to say that Alex didn't necessarily look his best also, which again is on him. I don't know if it's all the media or all the different things that he's doing now outside of the cage that is just catching up to him. I mean, he's 36, 37 years old now, so not necessarily a spring chicken, so maybe that move up to heavyweight is something that he might want to consider. But Ankalaev said, no more Shama. It's Ankalaev time, and he proved that statement to be true. And before we wrap things up, Carlos, do you have anything else that you want to say about this fight and the future of both guys?
No, we covered everything. I mean, I think that Ankalaev is going to be a worthy champion. He's got all the tools to do it, and mentally he did what a lot of people couldn't do was walk into the storm of Alex Pereira and take the shots and land his own. Alex, I don't know why. I didn't realize if you get him on his back foot, he can't be as destructive
Mm.
as he'd like to be because he counter fights pretty much anyway. So you figure someone fighting off their back foot, they would be perfectly okay. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if it's the fact that what you were saying, they have him doing a lot more media. He's doing a lot more interviews. He's traveling a little bit more.
Mm.
And whatever the case may be, like you said, he's 37. If these are opportunities that he's making to make extra money, get out there, more notoriety, so take it. You're 37. Get as much of it as you can, and make it work for you after you're done.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, Shama, like I loved Anderson Silva. great athlete, hell of a champion, but for some reason he just didn't catch on in the States, and he was one hell of a fighter. He just everybody put it to, oh well, he doesn't speak English. This guy doesn't speak English, but he speaks everyone's language. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Everybody loves Alex Pereira, so he's got the it factor. Move up to heavyweight if that's what you want to do. I'd love to see if he can get the title up there too.
Mm. And my only real concern or my only real wish with this is that I hope that Ankalaev stays busy enough, because we've seen it before where he just doesn't tend to fight that often, and I just hope that he stays active enough so that we can see multiple fights at light heavyweight. Yeah, I mean, no more Sharma, but I'm sure that the UFC has big plans for Alex moving forward. And yeah, I mean, although it wasn't the decision that we wanted, obviously he was the one loss that we had in the best bets video. It was a close decision. I do think that it could have necessarily gone Alex's way. It just didn't go that way on the night. And at the end of the day, I mean, hats off to Ankalaev. I think he's going to be a tough champion to beat. 21-1, I believe now, and he can mix in the wrestling and the striking. So maybe we see a rematch. That could also be a possibility. Who knows? But if you've enjoyed the content up until this point, and you've enjoyed the recap, hit that like and subscribe button. Keep an eye out for our video that comes out every Wednesday. We do a full card breakdown. This week we're talking about Delize taking on Vittori 2 at the Apex. That will be released on a Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. And check out our best bets video that comes out on a Friday if you guys are interested in making some money. Hit that like and subscribe button, and take it easy. Peace.
Peace.